Okay, it's recording. Future 5. So this covers subjects that you don't know about. There was something that was hidden in the world of science. It was the way they did telegraph in the 1800s. They wanted to save on copper, which was expensive, copper wire. So what they did is they send energy by what's called a keyer. You tap on it for a telegraph, and by wire, two wires, it would go to a coil of wire called electric magnet, and using battery voltage, it would pull on a piece of steel matter on spring to make the clicking sound. So they wanted to save on copper wire. So what they did, they'd run on wooden poles one copper wire above the ground, and um, and they're sending energy um, when they energize it electrically. So they wanted to be able to save wire. So what they did is knew how to build very high voltage transformers, take voltage to a very high, and that's velocity speed of the electricity. And it's always light base that moves electricity like a solar cell. And so they connect the other end of the wire from the transformer into a piece of steel in the ground. And so what happens is it would be called a spark gap transmitter. And so when they tap on it, they're sending one half of the energy of the copper wired above the ground, the other half by a steel pipe as a transmission wave through the ground, which was really the true definition of the word called ground wave propagation of energy, to a steel pipe to the receiving telegraph office. And then it would go up and above the ground, it would connect to one end of a coil for electric magnet. The other came up from the steel pipe from the ground, and it would complete uh, called the two-wire circuit for the electric magnet. And it get pulled, the energy get pulled on a piece of steel mounted spring and make a clicking sound. So this was done as a wireless transmission before credit was falsely given to one called an Italian radio engineer who sent wireless transmission called Marconi. So this preceded Marconi. So he didn't invent it. Boy, I noticed that the camera kind of jumps. So anyway, that was important because they didn't want people to know about that. So if you look at the training manuals to amateur band radio of the Federal Communication Commission to get a license, um, what it is they call the energy that travels of a wireless transmission on top of the ground, hugging the ground wave propagation. That's wrong. That's over the surface of the ground called surface wave propagation. When you do it like the telegraph, it's called ground wave propagation. I'll have to accelerate it because time will run out. So that's true the definition of ground wave propagation. They do it in secrecy. A lot of radio engineers, amateur band, even people in what's called citizen band radio, and but they use grounding rods. Sometimes they use steel pipes. So anyway, that's how it's done. So the whole thing is this: that after World War II, of the atomic bombs being exploded, they were centralized in White Sands, New Mexico, with the support of intelligence one called Los Alamos, New Mexico. So someone, for some reason, had a plan to do something which is not pleasant. They decided to move to what's called Nellis Air Force Base east of Las Vegas in Nevada, and they decided they'd do their nuclear development there, and they were exploding atomic bombs in the air, and but that was producing radioactive fallout. So the states and people were screaming about that. So they said, okay, we'll come up with a solution. So they decided to dig these big holes about 24 feet in diameter and go very deep down the ground. And there was a reason for that. And then they buried it to set off their nuclear weapon development. Well, it mimicked the ground wave propagation of the 1800, which was the intention to do what? Well, the geological physicists in the nuclear test site connection knew that the energy released by the atomic bomb couldn't go north, east, or south because there was too much land to those compass direction of high density, because so it wouldn't accept the radiance of energy of the atomic bomb and resist it. So to the less dense soils, it was due west. So it concentrated the atomic bomb energy like a laser, and it went due west. And and it wanted to radiate as a transmission wave of energy from the atomic bomb out in the Pacific Ocean through the lands of California. But it hit a blockage, which was the east side of California, called the base of solid stone, called the Sierra Nevada Mountains. And so the east side. So what happened is the energy had to turn and go north and south to dissipate itself. So when it did that, it vibrated the crust. And what that did is it cracked and separated, so it formed an artificial form earthquake fault, east side of the Sierra Nevada mountains. So what happened is the land was actually top heavy because of the mountain range of the Sierra Nevada mountains, and so because it's top heavy, it wants to tilt down towards the Pacific Ocean. But there's land that's blocking it from doing that on the west of that, called the land against the Pacific Ocean, on the west side of the San Andreas earthquake fault of California, from the Gulf of California through the Palm Springs, California valley level up to the San Francisco Bay Area. Is the San Andreas earthquake fault run. So that land presents the land that of the Sierra Nevada mountains from tilting down, which would put the lowlands of California underneath Pacific Ocean water permanently, like the Central Valley, California, if it happened. So, but it has been tilting, pushing pressure against the San Andreas earthquake fault, which may trigger it to go off. So, when it's been doing that, it's developed an earthquake crack fault that goes along the east side of the Sierra Nevada mountains up to the south side of a hollow venting tunnel shaft called Lake Tahoe, west of Carson City. And so it's been running, and it caused north of Palm Springs, California, called the Landers 1992 earthquake fault and Desert Hot Springs earthquake fault movement of 1992. That's the crack. So I gave the prophecy foretelling and said, well, that means if it's going to establish a complete earthquake fault, I said Barstow will be next. And so I gave that prophecy foretelling, like on Citizen Band Radio, said Barstow's going to have an earthquake. Well, guess what? At the end of July, it just happened, the earthquake. So that means that crack earthquake fault runs from the San Andreas earthquake fault north of Palm Springs, California, up along the east side of the Sierra Nevada mountains, and it's continuous to the entrance to the hollow venting tunnel shaft of a dormant volcano called Lake Tahoe. So what it is, since it's free and it's cracked, it's going to continue the pressure of the top end of the Sierra Nevada mountain range is going to keep tilting towards the Pacific Ocean, putting more pressure against the San Andreas earthquake fault. And if it continues, it could set it off, the whole thing. And then what would happen, that's called land relay, holding it back, the land between the San Andreas earthquake fault and the Sierra Nevada mountain range, that land. Um, if it goes off, it will go in a northwest direction towards the Pacific Ocean, the land, west of the cart of the San Andreas earthquake fault, and that will allow the land of the Sierra Nevada mountains to tilt down towards the Pacific Ocean, and that could put the lowlands like the Central Valley, California, underneath Pacific Ocean water. So I'll have to wait and see if it happens. It'll be a disaster if it happens, but oh well, what can you do? The crack is already developed. So I think the geological physicists of the nuclear test site of Nevada knew what they were doing, and the nuclear scientists to pre-stage for this to happen. But it's just speculation, and this is for your entertainment.